Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melanie. I have been sharing my cancer journey with nasal squamous cell carcinoma, which also resulted in the loss of my left eye. And I figured I would get on and share a short update first, and then I have had this on my heart for a while, just positive things that have come out of this cancer journey, because a lot of it is, yes, very negative in the sense of treatments and all the side effects that go along with that, and never wanting this to have been part of my story, but there have been positive things that I have learned through this as well. And I figured I would share those today just in case it's encouragement for those that are newly diagnosed or struggling in their diagnosis, or maybe you have gone through cancer and this is something you've experienced as well. But before that, I wanted to share a short update because I did have my scans. So we are currently receiving care at MD Anderson in Houston. We don't live here. We live in Florida, but have moved here, quote unquote, not moved here. We're renting an Airbnb for however long my treatment lasts. We are going to have to extend again for at least probably another month and a half to 2 months, and then we'll see again what the next step is. But I just had my first round of scans and they were so very positive. The doctor just seemed really happy with how things were looking. The tumor is not fully gone, but it has shrunk. So it is shrinking, which is what they were wanting to see. The lymph node that I had in my neck, which I could physically feel and you could see, I mean, it was bulging. I can't feel it anymore. It's basically completely gone. They didn't even see it register on the CT scan or MRI. I did not have a PET scan. I just had a CT and MRI just to see how everything, was changing and how it was looking. And so I was supposed to begin my next round of chemo yesterday. The plan now, so they reviewed the scans, and the plan now, you're okay, Dad? That's my dad. Say hi, Dad. I'm filming in their room because the baby is asleep across the hall. But the original plan was to rescan, and as long as it was doing what they wanted it to do, I was going to do 2 more rounds of the immunotherapy and chemo combo. And I still am. So based on how the scans looked, they wanted to continue forward with that plan. But the day of the day that we got all this information, I also had blood work in the morning to show them, if I needed anything extra with my infusion. And ultimately, my platelets were pretty low, and so they decided to wait an additional week to give my body kind of more time to heal, my platelets more time to bounce back, and I'm not sad about an extra week. Yes, it means an extra week having to stay in Houston, but ultimately I've been feeling really good, and so another week of feeling good is making me happy. I took baby girl to the zoo this morning, and I have energy. I'm pretty tired right now because it's hot. The zoo was a lot. It was the first time I've taken her to something like that by myself without Babe. But we did it, and we're back. She's napping, and I figured I'd take the time to kind of get on here and share, the news of the update and how positive things are looking. And so we're hopeful. I will do my next 2 rounds. I'm hoping, so they dropped my dose between my first infusion and my second infusion. They dropped the dose of my 5-FU chemo, which is like the more powerful chemo that I go home on a pump. They dropped the dose by from 1,000 to 800. I asked if there was potential to drop the dose again because it did help significantly with the side effects to have the dose lowered. But I did still get, the mouth sores, and still my hair is still thinning. But he said he may consider that. He's going to look and see what my blood work looks like next time, and he may consider dropping it slightly, but he's not promising that. So, and if I have to do the 800, I do, and that's fine. It's obviously working and, showing improvement, so we'll take it. But like I said, just overall, a really positive scan result, doctor visit. I will repeat those 2 more rounds, and then we'll scan again and see if anything else is needed after that, whether it's targeted radiation, but just like 3 doses, very targeted. It won't be like it was before, or potentially surgery. I'm really hoping we don't have to do that, because that would mean another like brain surgery, basically. Or, maybe just continue on with immunotherapy, but I can do that at home. So we'll see. I don't know what the next step will be. We don't know. The doctors will, plan that out after the next round of scans. Eventually, I will have a surgery to repair the hole in my flap. So for those that don't know, I do have a hole here. So it will mean another surgery to at least repair that, and I'll get to that in a little bit, because that's kind of part of what I wanted to share, because originally I got on here and I thought there was 3 things that I was going to share, but there's actually 4. So now on to the real bulk of what I wanted to share in this video, which is just the positive things, the positive lessons that I have learned through this journey. And I know I shared this in my video about coming to terms with my mortality, but the first lesson, and really the one that's meant the most and kind of helped me the most, is that cancer has really taught me to live in the moment, and just kind of embrace each second that I have. Yeah, the crummy ones suck when I'm just in bed and I can't get up and my kid is saying, Mama down, Mama downstairs, and I have to try and get someone to come take her, or I make my way downstairs, sit there for a minute, and then make my way back upstairs to get in the bed. Those moments are crummy, but I live in those moments too, because right now my body needs to rest and I need to listen to it so that I can be better able to care for her, the next day or long term. So allowing my body to do what it needs to do and listen to that. I've just had to kind of accept that and embrace that. But more so, it's just living in those happy moments, the joy we find, and taking her for walks for rocks. She loves rocks right now. So anytime we go on a walk, she's collecting rocks, and I don't go on the walks with her as much as my dad and Andrew do, but she'll come back and she'll be like, oh, Mommy, rocks! Look at all my rocks! And I just get so excited for her rocks. I was always someone who lived for what's next, and it could be partially having a child helps you live in the moment, but I really think cancer has taught me that, because I don't know if I will have a tomorrow, and so I'm living in today the best way that I can. I'm pretty sure if it had not been for this, I would be like, okay, in 5 years, we're going to be homeschooling, and I need to be preparing for that and doing this and doing that now and doing this now to prepare for 5 years from now. But no, I don't need to do that. I need to prepare for this moment, this day, with her, embracing all the little moments. And yes, we can make plans to go to the zoo, tomorrow, or the Children's Museum, which is what we're doing tomorrow. We made plans to do that. But I'm not living to make it to that moment. I'm living in this moment and embracing it for what it is. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've gotten out of all this. And honestly, not only has that helped just me mentally, it has taken, well, I guess, which is still a mental thing, it's taken so much stress off of worrying about what's next. It's taken worries and stress away from me, and that's helpful. So that was lesson 1. The second lesson has been boundaries. I was not great with boundaries. I had my therapist once tell me that I was codependent, which was weird because I am not codependent in like relationships. Like Babe and I do not have a codependent relationship at all. And even when I told my best friend that, who is a therapist, she was like, "What? That's weird." And then we talked about it more, and I basically had a lot of codependent relationships with my family members, with people who struggled. I also shared that I had a brother who was an addict. Ultimately, he passed away due to a drug overdose. But in a lot of ways, I took on the role of kind of protector, caretaker. I just took on a lot of that in my as a familial role without even realizing it. And one, it probably helped learning that in therapy and hearing that, but it still didn't really change much it changed some, but I still very much was like trying to fix people's problems for them. But you cannot fix people's problems for them. They have to want to fix their problems and get help. And you can assist with that, but you cannot fix someone. And I was never one, I could never say no. I also had FOMO. So part of it was that too. I couldn't say no to things that like I wanted to do, but also didn't want to do, but I was worried I was going to miss out on something. So I said yes. I always said yes. I said yes to everything. And I've had to say no to a lot of things in the last 2 years, and set clearer boundaries, because I had to protect myself, my health, and there was a lot of things I wanted to say yes to that I couldn't because of health reasons, but cancer's taught me to protect those boundaries. It doesn't mean shutting people out. It just means having a healthy space for yourself, both mentally and sometimes physically. It can be a lot. I'm one who loves to be around people, but with being in and out of the hospital and constantly touched for infusions and blood draws and all of those things, I got very overstimulated. Like my body just became very overstimulated, and now being around a lot of people is a lot for me. It's hard, and so I've had to say no to big events and things like that and set those boundaries for myself and help myself stick to them, and cancer has taught me to do that. So mostly because I didn't really have an option, but I think it's made me a healthier person mentally, being able to kind of set those boundaries for myself. So that's lesson 2. Lesson 3 is still one I'm really working on, but I would say I've gotten good at accepting help. I'm still not great at asking for help. Before all of this, like I said, I was the fixer in my family. Babe was the fixer in his family. We're both fixers, and somehow we ended up together, but not needing in any way to fix each other. We just kind of support each other, which is why I was very, weirded out at first when she told me I was codependent, because I was like, the last thing I am in a relationship, but in my mind I was just thinking a partner relationship is codependent, but you can be codependent in some relationships and not others. But we were both the fixers, and so when we were diagnosed, I was diagnosed, but I also say we have cancer because we do. I have cancer. I'm the one with the disease. I'm the one that has to, get all the infusions and the medications and all of that. But we as a family have cancer. Babe is there with me through all of it. My mom and dad are with me through all of it. My siblings, my friends, like, it is a village. And that was hard, especially for me and Babe. We are not people to ask for help. We kind of just want to do it ourselves, and we kind of tried at the beginning. We were like, no, we're just going to go to the hospital. We're going to see what the doctors say. We don't need anybody to come. And so the first day, like 24 to 48 hours, we were just us, trying to navigate through everything and figure out which hospital we needed to be at, and getting all this news. And we were just, that was not smart. Let people help you, even from the very beginning. It was good, I think, for us to kind of have some space, but we let ourselves have too much space, and we just kind of laid there in bed, not knowing what to do, what to say to each other, how to move forward. Just like kind of sitting in this like darkness. And then my best friend was like, I ain't listening to you. And she just showed up. And it was the best thing. And then my parents showed up, and my siblings, and it was just, we needed people to show up, and they showed up for us without us asking. But then, of course, people want to know how to help you. And, people just, they want to know how to help. And it was hard for us to try and figure that out. So many of you asked if we had a GoFundMe, and we knew we didn't want to set up a GoFundMe because we are very grateful that most of my care, yes, there are still a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, but most of my care and my medication and my, hospital stays, our insurance is wonderful and has covered all of it except for, our deductible each year. So we have to meet our deductible, and then everything is covered. So we're very, very grateful for that. And we're grateful that Andrew's job has been very supportive and let him work from home when he needs to, and, still keep working while supporting me. And, that's been helpful. We haven't really lost, we lost my income, but it was not significant enough for it to really make a huge impact on our finances. So we were very grateful for that. So we were like, well, we don't need to set up a GoFundMe. But people are still like, well, you have all these extra expenses now, and we want to help. Like I said, this community asked, and so that's what, and my mom's friends and our church friends and everyone was just asking, like, what do you need? How can we help? And so I spoke with someone, a dear friend connected me with a friend she knew who had cancer as a mom with young kids. And I connected with her, and she said, make a wish list. And then she said, that's the best thing you can do, because you can put on there what you need, and people want to help. So they'll, and that way they can support if they want. There's things of all different like price ranges. People don't have to feel like they have to spend a certain amount of money, because they're just getting you a tangible thing that you need, even if it's a $5 item. And that was great. And so I made that, but then the sharing of that was hard. It was hard to say, like, okay, here's my wish list. Like, please help. Like, that was just very hard. It's still very hard for me, because so many of you ask on here all the time, it's not easy to find your wish list. And so I'm going to try and make it easier. I added it in the description on my like About Me channel. I will try and add it to video descriptions. I'll make sure to link it in the comments of this video, because I know people will ask. But you guys are so great and have been so supportive about that. Like early on, I was literally just putting medications and dressing changes and Band-Aids and water and stuff like that on the wish list. And DoorDash gift cards, things like that. And then you guys were like, we would love to get something for the baby. And that's been helpful too, because I've been able to add things on there for her that we really couldn't bring with us here. My husband and my mom drove the car out here packed basically to the brim. But there were things we obviously couldn't bring, and that we've realized we've needed for her, extra books, because she's getting tired of the ones that, the couple that I brought. A few toys, things for her to do while I'm trying to rest, or, you know, it's helpful to have like something new for my mom to give her to like occupy her so I can sneak away when I need to rest. That's been like the most helpful thing, is to keep her distracted with something new. And so we've kind of been having to tuck things away and save them. And thankfully the art room at the hospital has a great, like, they let you like come and like take things, like you can either do art there, or you can get like a little wooden birdhouse with paints to take home with you, or to take to your infusions and stuff like that. So we've been getting those and bringing those, and those have been helpful to like distract her too. But yeah, the accepting help was hard. The asking for help is even harder, and I'm still working on that. But accepting help is a huge lesson I've learned through this. Cancer should not be done in a vacuum. My heart goes out to those that, like, we have such a supportive village, and they have basically made me let them help me, even when I wasn't letting anyone help me, even when I was refusing to ask for help. They said, we're helping anyways. And so I've just learned to embrace that and be grateful for it. And in something like this, you need a village. And for those that, don't have a supportive village and they're battling cancer, my heart just, if that's you, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to support you any way I can. That just makes my heart feel really heavy, because this is a heavy, heavy, heavy thing to carry alone. And so when people kind of step up beside you and just say, I'm here, accepting that has been a lesson for me, but it's needed, and I'm so grateful, so grateful. Yeah, even just somebody sitting with you in the suck, like, that's a huge thing. Because there are moments, there's a lot of moments where it just sucks, and having someone sit there with you and just be like, you don't have to talk, you don't have to do anything, I'm just going to sit here. Accepting that and being open to that. I'm grateful that cancer has taught me that lesson. And those were originally my 3 main things, but there was something I thought about today. And that's just that in a lot of ways, I don't know if, I didn't have a disfiguring cancer. I don't know if that would have been something I feel like I learned as well. But I feel like my self-confidence has only gotten stronger. And I'm grateful for that, because I was really worried that my self-confidence was just going to tank after I lost my eye. And I'm very, very grateful that I had a pretty solid self-confidence before losing my eye. I was never one to like get dolled up or anything like that. I just felt secure in who I was and in the way I looked, because one thing that I can always be so grateful for my mom for is I feel like she instilled that in me. We were never like, looks, setting a good first impression was important, but like looks were never like what made us who we are. That was never something in our household. We were who we were for who we were, not what we looked like. And I think that, helped shape the way I always saw myself. So losing my eye, I was worried I would lose some of that. And it was shocking. It's jarring. I didn't look like myself. I'm learning to accept this new self and how I look. But I didn't look like myself. And that was like hard to kind of see in the mirror, like my brain thinking I looked one way and like my body looking a different way. Kind of just overall, I went from having no scars. I don't know if you can see it. This was the only scar right here that I had on my body before all this. And now I have a C-section scar. I have this scar. I have this scar. I have a huge scar running the entire length of my left thigh. I got a lot of, and I have no eye. I got a lot of scars now. And so that's kind of weird to see too, but, you know, I'm accepting them for what they are. They're battle wounds and they are worthy of, you know, I was like, well, I want to wear shorts. It's hot in Houston. I ain't even got a choice, but I still wear shorts. I have started, if you watch my previous video, I didn't have a patch under here. And I've started to go out in public more without a patch under here. Usually I only do it on like hospital days or days that we're not going like somewhere. Like today we went to the zoo, so I wore two. But I've started going more places with just the one because ultimately I want to get to a place where I don't wear the patch at all. Obviously I have to right now, at least up here because of the hole, and then I have to have the Band-Aid here because underneath the Band-Aid, there's like another little hole with exposed bone, so I have to keep that protected. But whatever this next surgery is going to be, my flap is going to be a lot bigger. And I knew that, but they kind of just confirmed that when I was here. I've always figured it needs to, it's probably going to go all the way up over, so right now, I mean, it's like low because it's fallen. But they'll fill the cavity and then it'll go up. I'm assuming, I don't know yet, but I'm assuming it's going to go all the way over here, up kind of like into my forehead. And then it's going to have to go like around my temple. I don't know. Let me see. It's going to be hard to get the Band-Aid off. But my temple on this side, because the bone is exposed right here, kind of sitting next to my temple, like here, you know, it's just flush, but like over here, my temple is almost like it's like sunken in, and you can see like all the veins. It's really red. So my assumption is they're going to have to put it up all the way over here and then around my temple and then connect back down here. So that will be another look to have to learn to embrace. But it also might be too big to wear like a patch without some of it being seen, and I need to be okay with that, and I'm getting more okay with that. My flap is now just a part of who I am. I can't do anything to change that, and I feel okay about that. I also think it helps, so I'm very grateful that I haven't gotten what I would call stares. Like, I haven't had a lot of people like just like stare at me like, what in the world is wrong with her eye? I've had, you know, double glances. I've had a few like looks that linger. But for the most part, like I haven't gotten anybody that's been like, oh my gosh. And I've had people ask me about it. And honestly, I prefer that. I'm happy to answer questions about it. I get them more so from kids. They're like, what's wrong with your eye? What happened? You know, and they're not like, oh, what's wrong? They're just like, what happened to your eye? And sometimes their parents get like horrified, like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, don't apologize. It's completely fine. Like, they're curious. I would be curious as a kid if you see somebody with huge Band-Aid on their eye. And so for little kids, I just say, you know, I had a sickness that in order to get better, they had to take my eye, so I wear a Band-Aid over it. Older kids, I sometimes, just depending on like, I'll feel it out, I'll use the word cancer. And then oftentimes that like leads the parent to like kind of jump in where they hand one, like one mom was like, oh, you know, did you have cancer or are you battling cancer? And, you know, I talk about that. Because that's probably something that their kid might already be aware of, whereas other kids, you know, may not know what cancer is at all, because they can live in that, like, oh, do I wish that Andalee could have lived in that innocent little bubble for, like, until she was old enough to hear the word cancer and fully understand what it means. Yes, 100%. But that's not the real world. People have cancer. People all over, you know, so many people have cancer, and, you know, she'll never not know a life without the word cancer, but she's so empathetic, and she even she's not even 2, but she just says, Mama Boo Boo. Like, she doesn't think I look any different. She sees my scar, and she'll be like, Andely Boo Boo, if she gets a boo boo, and then she's like, Mama Boo Boo, and she'll give my scars a kiss, so gently. And sometimes she'll just like be playing, and she'll come over and give my leg a kiss because she sees my boo boo. And so that's helped me learn to love my scars as well, because she doesn't see them as anything other than just something that needs a kiss. And so that's just been another helpful thing that I've learned through cancer, is just to have confidence in who I am, because, you know, one eye, huge scar on my leg, that doesn't matter. That doesn't make me who I am. My character, my personality, those are still there. I just have one less eye. And I would like my eyebrow over here to come back in. I will say that. It's still really thin. And I didn't have thick eyebrows to begin with, but I had an eyebrow that could, be seen. And I had really long eyelashes. And now they're just not long. And I can't really put mascara on because it bothers, like, my eye just is so irritated here. It's really dry, and the heat and all that just irritates my eye, and so I very rarely wear mascara. I do sometimes draw in an eyebrow, and I do like it when I have an eyebrow. So I would love my eyebrow to grow in a little bit more again. Come back. It's not even because my hair is thinning. After my eyebrow fell out with the first round of chemo and I had no hair, it didn't really want to come back in. This is as much as it's come back in. And that's okay. But I would like that to grow back in. That would maybe help a little bit. But otherwise, I feel pretty confident in rocking one eye. And who would ever thought I'd say that? But cancer taught me that. Cancer taught me that it's okay to have a different appearance than I ever thought I would. And I think it'll be hard to adjust to the new look again each time. It's different, and it's something that I adjust to, but eventually I get to this place where I'm okay with where it is and what that looks like. And so those are things that I'm grateful to have learned through all this. And I hope that this helped somebody who may be experiencing either disfiguring cancer or some kind of other medical issue, or, car accident, or, anything that's going to leave you looking different than the way you looked before, or trying to find the positives in a really sucky situation. I hope this helped. As always, thank you so much for listening, letting me come on here and just talk and share and do all those things. I probably won't have another update for a while. It'll be at least, so my next round of chemo is going to start Tuesday, and then it's 3 weeks before the next round, and then I have to wait 3 weeks before scans. So 369, right? Math's never been my strong suit. I'm real good with words, not so much numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's 9 weeks from now. No, 6. Wait, I'll do it on Tuesday, then I wait 3 weeks. So it's 6 weeks from now. I should have an update. I don't know, 6 or 9. But I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.